quite a bit up to Minnesota and down here to fight. They're starting to get some stuff rolling out there. I'm kind of excited to see what Sioux Falls does for fighting. They just got sanctioning, what, a year and a half ago?
Not very long, and LFA was up there for their kind of bubble area. Man, props to Bruce. He was one of the guys, with Shayna Baszler and fights in the UFC right now. Devin Clark, who's fighting Anthony Smith coming up. He kept the gym open and kept him training up there. Like I said, I think this fight happening is kind of a product of both states. Nebraska.
Fight fans, this contest is scheduled for 3 4-minute rounds for the DC Amateur Middleweight Championship. It is brought to you by Club Omaha, the official DC after party. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, fighting out of the Twin J blue corner. This grappler stands 6'2", weighed in 185 pounds. Yields an amateur record, 4 wins, 1 defeat. Representing Pura, Vida, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and MMA. Fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Wes Party Time Schultz. His opponent across the cage, fighting out the Nebraska Lottery red corner, is a boxer wrestler standing 5'10", weighed in 185 pounds. He holds an amateur record, 5 wins, 0 defeats. Representing Next Edge Academy and fighting out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Jeff Nielsen. Your referee, Big Fitz.
Nebraska, under the leadership of Brian Dunn, has really done a good job getting, a lot of local promotions and Dynasty keeping busy, especially during these COVID times. So props to Brian Dunn. Training Phil being able to put on fights.
Jab, jab. Let's keep that up there. Jab, jab. Circle, circle. Circle right. Yep.
Man, you can definitely tell getting later in this card here how much more experienced these guys are. Every movement they make is much more thought out than we were seeing earlier.
Nice. Walk around. Take it past that knee.
So I'm not 100% sure on Jeff Nielsen's high school career. I know Wes Schultz was a state champ in Wisconsin and wrestled D1 at Wyoming, and then I believe Jeff Nielsen was up at Augustana, which is a great wrestling college in South Dakota. So both accomplished. Good move for Jeff Nielsen. Oh, he's not over that knee though.
It's definitely an interesting position here. Schultz on the bottom there seems to be, defending pretty well on him trying to tie up those legs and actually make some movement here.
Yeah, I'm looking for him. The good thing is he's keeping that knee up to a butterfly, which is keeping Nielsen from figure four and going more ground and pound. That's why you're kind of seeing a really reserved notion. Look for Schultz to kind of come up here. He is in a decent position to wall walk here in a second if he can get his feet under him. I think why you're seeing him go to butterfly guard.
So these guys here, they're both ground guys, or do we know if one of them is a striker? Obviously I don't know these guys real well. I know the gyms they come out of, and I know that they're both kind of jiu-jitsu style gyms.
Well, I know that, so Jeff, I've almost solely seen him wrestling in his fights for the most part. I know he took down Brady Minner in his fight. He kind of grinded out Jeff Sauter when he won that title. I've only seen Wes Schultz fight one time, and he caught a head kick knockout of Ben Goodwin real quick. He is built a little bit taller than you'd expect for a wrestler, as accomplished as he is.
So you see Schultz working from the bottom there. He's working on some sort of a neck crank. He's had those butterfly guards in. I was a little curious of where he's going with that.
He's not quite buying into that. I think he might have been trying to get kind of over the head to kind of push up. He didn't commit too much, and Jeff hadn't settled his hips to go to that Von Flue, so he isn't as in much trouble for that, as opposed to yesterday. If you listened in yesterday, we advised a lot against guillotines from there.
Well, that's why, it didn't look like he was really going for the guillotines. He was just using the head as control there.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of what I want to differentiate between that. I
So
like Nielsen here. I think
he's got both the leg and the arm tied up on that side. It's definitely an interesting movement.
Good
there.
kickback. Ooh, a little bit. Can't quite see. Doesn't look deep enough for this, but we'll see if he can.
I think he's probably just using this for position here again. He doesn't seem to be in a good position to actually finish that guillotine.
Well,
at this
he
point.
is over his neck, actually. He's in.
Oh.
This is not good for Nielsen.
Especially if he could pull that other leg through.
Yeah, his chest is up and above his head. He might go to like a butterfly with the right foot to try to hip over. Usually you wouldn't expect this, but like I said, his shoulders are above his head.
I find it interesting that he's keeping that knee and not trying to move out to that full guard position from there to finish this.
You don't necessarily need to get a full guard from here, though Jeff is working hard on pushing that knee down to kind of keep him from that.
So how does
Jeff? This is getting real tight if he's, and he got it. Good work from both fighters.
Look at that, we got a new champ. I mean, it's always fun to see that happen. I mean, kind of tell me how he kind of tightened this up here. I mean, I find it interesting on the way that he ended up finishing this.
Well,
here.
I'll tell you one thing. You see his chest is above his head, so for an arm-in guillotine, you have to get your chest up. You'll see guys lose this when their back goes to the mat, where Wes kept his off the mat. The other thing is he's looking to kind of arch to his the side that he has the over.
So when he I noticed there, right before he tapped, he kind of rolled to his back. That's when I kind of see him get a little bit, in danger there. Is that when he was actually able to really sink it in and create a little bit of pressure there? Is when he kind of got him on his back here? Right
Truthfully,
there?
you're rolling to your back. It's tight already.
Okay.
You've kind of, it's kind of a last ditch to roll to your back, and hopefully they lose it or they lose it on the mount. At that point, you hit the cage. So you'll see that a lot. If they roll, they're either trying to get out of it or they're usually trying to get out of the choke at that point. It's a little too late.
This is the first time tonight we've seen our promoters pip and train in the cage. They'll be handing that beautiful belt over to Wesley Schultz on this after a nice finish there from the bottom. That's the one thing we don't talk about a lot. You always talk about people winning those fights from the top. And we saw Schultz there win this fight and win this title from the bottom.
He stayed calm, man. A lot of guys would freak out, but he did a good job controlling the head, and he did get up off the cage a little bit and then ended up sinking back to that guillotine. I kind of wonder how, as long as he sat on it, if there was a point that he started to get a little nervous.
So ladies and gentlemen, your referee, Big Fitz, calls a stop to the fight. 3 minutes, 47 seconds into the very first round, declaring a winner by tap out in a guillotine choke and new DC Amateur Middleweight Champion, Wes Party Time Schultz.